All right, so I was recommended to check out this video right here by a comment. Like I said, always drop what you would want me to watch down below or anything along the lines of that. It's supposed to be centered, by the way. But this is by Cinna. Shout out to you, Cinna. If you want me to take down my video, just send me a DM, leave it down below, or anything like that. This is video games that showed real bodies. See if I got stuff to say. I'll try to not pause too much. You guys, I'm a yapper, and especially when I'm covering someone else's video, I like to talk and give it, give it down. But yeah, let's get this request out the way. And remember, if you have any videos you want me to watch or anything, all my DMs are open on my socials. So yeah, and again, shout out to Cinna for the video. Link will be down below. Let's do it. I think the best thing to say is like just hit me on, Twitter or something. If I didn't transform enough or anything, Cinna, but all right, let's go. Although, content warning, although actual photos and videos will be censored, there will be instances of video game bodies that are based off real photos later on. Will be mentioned of child material. Watch at your own risk. Cinna, in you skin. What?
In 2016, Markiplier uploaded a one-off video where he played a game called The Hospital. It sucked, and there really wasn't anything to know about
the edit, bro. It sucked. That was
the
good.
game except for one thing that ended up with Markiplier removing the video years later. It showed an image of a real body. I heard about this years later on TikTok. The body shown, from what I could find, was one of a person missing the skin on his face, looking directly at the camera, and another was an autopsy photo where a person has their ribcage open with their internal organs visibly spilled out. These images would flash on the screen and play a loud sound as a cheap jump scare. Again, nothing remarkable about the game.
I'm not gonna lie to you. See, this is gonna blur the line between creativity. Dude, I feel like creativity, oh man. There's such, do you know what I'm saying? You probably know along the lines of where I'm going about that blurred line between creative, what is it? Like some of the ARGs you find online for, like this is a school project, or it's like a quirky dark art project. It's like, you've got to have a very interesting type of creative mind. Just as Cinna is saying, there's nothing really special about this horror game, in his opinion, to put images of real bodies in a game. You got to be a definite type of creative, definite type of disturbing to do that, or disturbed, to be honest, because that's
But
odd.
this led me to wonder how many video games have actually shown real bodies. Naturally, this sent me down a rabbit hole of finding other games that have done the same. And you'll be surprised how many of these games you might know, but never knew had such material. The last example being the most awful and evil.
That the black and white and the scratching, since I've seen it on Iceberg, was this Sad Satan.
On December 19th, 2016, Russian ambassador to Turkey Andrei Karlov was assassinated at an art exhibit by an off-duty officer right in front of a large crowd of attendees who managed to take photos right before and just right after the shots were fired, leaving Andrei lying on the floor motionless. The assassination occurred at a time when tensions were high and many Turks were protesting Russia's involvement in the Syrian civil war. I remember this photo being everywhere on Twitter and on the news. But the last place you might expect to see this image is in a video game, and much less a Batman one. But a year later, on August 8th, 2017, Batman: The Enemy Within is released to the public. Fairly early into the game, there is a point where Batman
oh my gosh, my bro and I played this
in the Batcave, looking into 2 of the 3 attacks that occurred on the same night. But when Batman turns his attention to a robbery at the Gotham Brokerage, we can see a vault open with its items stolen, and someone laid out on the ground near it. Upon closer inspection, you can see that this is the body of Andrei Karlov. seemingly just taken from the original photo and placed onto a fictitious crime scene. Now, why would the devs of this game place a photo of him just a year after his assassination? It's unclear how and who put this in the game, but it was later removed after many articles covered the incident. Telltale Games put out a statement saying, "We regret this incident occurred, and we are taking appropriate action internally to..."
I feel like a company that every time they put this out, they're not actually doing it, but maybe I'd like for the good of my heart and the good of heart and to believe in the good of hearts of others to say that this is, why did I say the good of my heart? Was I almost like trying to say like I wasn't trying to judge? I guess, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like a internal sense of zen right now, so that's just what came out. But, or Freudian slip, who knows? But essentially, why, when companies say this, dude, I feel like they're not like. But that also, I got to give them the benefit of the doubt because that could easily slip by, I guess, right? Depending on who, because they have multiple. What? I want to say what faction, and that's not the right word. I guess what dividend, what part of the development team would be responsible for doing that? I could only imagine it'd have to be someone, and depending on how the sections are cut up, but it's in a Telltale series game, so that's insane. And maybe it had to do with someone who directly felt impacted by the incident that worked on the team. Or maybe someone just thought it'd be edgy. What part of the team would that be? Like someone who's handling modeling and art? I don't know. It really could be anyone, to be honest, who had... Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
To ensure that we continue to maintain our high standards in production and quality assurance. Me personally, I don't see how this could have been done accidentally, but let's just get on to the next one.
Oh, is that what? Sorry, because what I said completely blinded me from reading it. Did they say it was, "We regret this incident occurred and we are taking appropriate"?
Continue to put out a statement saying, "We regret this incident occurred, and we are taking appropriate action internally to ensure
Cinna
that we continue to maintain our high standards in production and quality assurance." Me personally, I don't see how this could have been done accidentally, but let's just get on to the next one.
That's what I'm saying. It's just odd. I don't. That's odd. Oh, this should be obvious. I feel like this is the most obvious one on the list.
Call of Duty World at War was released in 2009 and was a first-person shooter with a campaign set in World War II. It included modes like multiplayer and my personal favorite, zombies. But we'll be turning our attention to the campaign. Right at the beginning, there's an intro animation to kind of set the mood of the game. Well, it's actually more of a blend of real footage along with animation. During the intro, when it turns its attention to Japan, is when we are shown real footage of an execution. It's a man on his knees being shot in the back and falling forward. This is immediately followed by footage of multiple bodies being pushed into a mass grave. All of this happens in a matter of seconds right at the beginning of the game. There was plenty of discussion brewing up as to whether it was in poor taste to show real footage of executions. And this discussion carries on today long after its release, some saying that it wasn't necessary, and others believing that if you're going to portray war, you shouldn't hold back on the horrors of it, regardless of how hard it might be to look at it. Let me know what y'all think.
If you're gonna portray war, you shouldn't hold back. I mean, I would say, okay, so I can see all angles, and what I will say is I'm still gonna remain pretty neutral, but I could see a side of, if it's gonna be in a game, okay, if they go in with the intention of knowing that parents are gonna buy the game for their kid, most likely, or their kids are gonna end up playing, that's dark. But that's not on them. But I also know that certain companies do know that going into that is a risk they take. So that everyone got that implanted in their brain, and they were, you run into a lot of kids in these COD games. That's kind of like dark a little bit. But also, I can see the side where, like if you're gonna portray war in a game, it's a video game. So essentially, everyone playing the game is not experiencing the real war. And if you're gonna go hard in that, at least show them what the horrors of war and not hold back, because you didn't really have to participate in the wars that made us free. And my heart goes out to all veterans, and yeah, for real, that because that would be a good thing to not go soft in the games. But then here's another perspective, is also where that could be true, is I think you could just portray the war with your skill, like, you know, replicate the scenes, which I don't know if that's any better, but replicate the footage instead of use actual footage, because these are skilled game designers and stuff that put this stuff together. So I think for me personally, I can't really say anything because I don't have emotional stakes in all of this. But something I could point out is I definitely think it could be tasteless too. That's why I just stay in the middle, because to be honest, why not just use your game development skills to kind of portray what really went on and still go pretty hard, and have people pose the question, or like good art really does to make you have a feeling, instead of just showing. Ooh, whoa, my mind just went into a weird place when I said art, and art is to make you feel. I was gonna go somewhere, but what I will say is, art can be so good to make you question, wow, did that really go on? Were they executing people like that? And then someone, if they get the curiosity, could go and check and be like maybe delve and find the clip themselves if they want to go down the rabbit hole. But you don't have to put it in the video yourself. Even the Batman game one is very odd too. Like, we seen that. Now that I remember, oh my gosh, I played that with my bro, and we seen that in the opening scene. Like, what? But I never knew that was an actual person. Like that's kind of crazy. But again, it does pose the question, why? The Batman one is the weirdest on the list so far for me. That is actually strange to be put there. That's what I'm saying. Like, the person had to be connected or something to the event. Someone on the team. But the World War one is a little bit hard because it is portraying World War. But again, everything in the game is code, so you can just portray these events. You're already doing it through code and your own genius without having to use the scene. Again, it just feels like another one where they're trying to be edgy or something. To me, if it's a video game, I think you should just honor the lives that anyone lost. Because war, at the end of the day, both sides are losing. To me, both sides are losing. So, loss of life for everyone, devastated families for everyone, devastated emotions, heavy emotions. Yeah, I think adding any images.
Serious Sam 3, released in 2011, is another first-person shooter game with over-the-top violence, so much so that it can't be taken seriously. Until you take a closer look at the assets used for the insides of the enemies in the game.
No way.
They look like animals that were split and butchered, because they are. In the little behind the making of the game documentary, they mentioned how taking photos to get assets for games isn't unheard of.
I like that Cinna isn't taking chances.
But when they wanted to design the insides of the monsters, they went to a village where it is customary to slaughter their own food. Nothing necessarily wrong with that at all.
True.
But they went and got permission to take photos of the butchered animals. And those images were later used as the assets you see when you slaughter certain enemy types in the game. I could see both sides of this, where some might say this is odd and cruel, and the other side that would say that this is admittedly a very clever use of photography to blend in real photos into the game.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that too. That's why I said on the World War one, I'm kind of torn. Well, no, that one's kind of just, I don't know. I lean more to one side, but I don't really have a side. I don't pick a side in it. But it does lean more to tasteless. Yeah, but that right there, that's what I'm saying. That right there, it does seem pretty.
And it makes you think how many other games have done the same, but just never mentioned it.
Half-Life. Oh my god. I mean, it would make sense. Half-Life's fun. I love Half-Life, dude. I just recently played it a couple months ago. Yeah, Half-Life 2 and Gary's mod. The models in this have to, right?
What can I say about Half-Life that hasn't been said before? It was an awesome game that set a precedent to devs everywhere of how much game mechanics and storytelling matter. But it would later give us a series set in the same universe with Portal, and later Gary Newman would use the source engine to make Gary's mod. Half-Life's legacy extends way farther than the original game alone. and people are still finding new things about it to this day. But a more recent discovery has been more disturbing than exciting.
I knew it.
One of the assets in the game is a burnt corpse.
Yeah.
It's called Corpse 01 MDL.
Yeah.
It appears a lot during Half-Life's campaign and is also available to use in Gary's mod, whether as a stationary prop or a player model. What's chilling about this is that someone discovered that the face of the player model is an image of a real burn victim, with slight editing to remove the eyes and rearrange some textures. There isn't a solid explanation as to why this is in the game or how someone ended up in a situation where their face was burnt off, but there are theories. First, let's start with where Valve got this photo. It's alleged that it came from an old medical book showing forensic images. But
okay. What I want to say is, Cinna, I don't know if you're like brave for looking. You have to look at all these images again, so it's like that's points to Cinna for
this
that.
didn't end the search of the source of the image for some. There was speculation that this was an example of someone being offed by the mafia. People's reasoning behind this is that only the face is burnt off. The whole body, even the hair, is perfectly intact. It's very likely that this was intentional and not a freak accident. Whether you grew up playing or watching others play Valve games, it's kind of unnerving to think how many times you came across this common burnt guy and never batting an eye to it. But now knowing what you know now, I'm sure you look back at those times a little differently now.
For sure. That's kind of crazy. For sure. I don't know Hong Kong 97, but around this time I started to lose my voice.
Hong Kong 97 was released in 1995 for the Famicom and was a doujin game, which just meant it was a homebrew game made by an amateur developer, and it shows. It's a really simple looking shoot 'em up where the premise is you play as one of Bruce Lee's relatives named Chin, and you're hired by the Hong Kong government to take out everyone in China. I'm not joking. It's a very mediocre game that probably would have fallen under obscurity if it weren't for its game over screens that feature a real photo of someone laid out on the ground. This is a real person. There's even a date, 1992. The game was released 3 years after the photo, so where does it originate? We get our answer from a film called Archivos da Morte Guerra. It's not a film that tells a story, more so it's a compilation of real war footage. This particular photo is a clip in the film that shows the aftermath of a man caught in the crossfire of the Bosnian Civil War. It's likely Kowloon Kurosawa, the developer of the game, simply took this image and used it for his own game. Poor taste in my opinion. Also 2 crazy facts for y'all. Kowloon has a YouTube channel and actually posts regularly. You know what else is on YouTube? The entire film I mentioned that shows real uncensored war footage. It's just there, uncensored. You could go watch it now if you wanted to, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. Not sure about all that one, but that was tasteless. I want to give a quick warning for the last one. I won't be showing anything, not even in a censored way. But there will be mentions of illegal materials and minors. If you don't want to hear about it, then there's no shame in clicking off the video. We're here for the long run. I gotta appreciate your art, your editing, and everything put together. Oh yeah, I knew it. Yeah, I knew it. I thought that image, I think this showed up in the iceberg.
Sad Satan was a game released in 2015 that had people believe that it was made by a user of the dark web who went by CK. The game really blew up on YouTube back in the day. The game had no win or lose conditions. It was simply you, the player, walking down a dark series of winding hallways that made you feel claustrophobic. Strange sounds of what seems like a radio cutting in and out could be heard, as well as what might be a music box.
Oh, yeah. People use this in other horror games too, I think.
And interestingly enough, you can hear a song that was in Hong Kong 97 playing backwards. While walking down the hallway, there's always a chance your screen would flash and display a photo and play loud distorted music, or a loud audio of what sounds like the painful screaming of a woman that wouldn't stop sometimes even after the photo went away. The walls would close in and sometimes you'd reach dead ends only to turn back and realize the path you took is no longer there. It became another dead end. Further into the game, you can find what looks like a little girl standing there, doing nothing. This is already a really disturbing game, and more so when you remember its alleged origin from the dark web. There's so much more about this game you can find. I'm just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
But I want to focus on what the images flashed on your screen were. It wasn't just bodies. It wasn't just butchered animals. It was occasional, real CP. If you'd like to play the game today, first off, what the f is wrong with you? But secondly, you can't. All the Sad Satan games out there right now are just clones of the original, but with the inclusion of illegal material and real bodies not in them. It's the reason why you can still find Let's Plays on YouTube to this day, because it's not the original version. As for what happened to the original version, I believe it's best that it stays lost to time. There is no way in hell this video is getting monetized. So much of my financial support for these videos is done through generous donations through super chats. So I'd like to take a moment to thank last video's
Latino
donators.
Gen Z horror nostalgia. That right there looks terrifying.
Sorry if I mispronounced some of these names. Some of these names I don't even know how to say. LXIZ World, Tavis 2336, Valley Girl Vivian, Saro Vibes, It's Ron 91, and lastly, and most recently, Jose2145. You guys are wonderful and help me keep the channel going, especially when my videos can't be monetized. This is something I'm going to start doing.
There's a little angel number, 444.
Can't be monetized. This is something I'm going to start doing at the end of my videos from now on. I'll be shouting out and displaying super chats sent in by y'all because I feel y'all deserve more than just a response back. Apart from that, you'll be given sneak peeks of videos before release and weekly Q&As once the Discord server is open. But before you go, quick Twitter plug, follow me and my girl. She's an artist and she does do commissions. She did the thumbnail for the first video ever, which was of us both playing FNAF. Go check that out too if you want to see us goof off and try to play with the silly little bear game. Okay, bye.
That's dope. I mean, let me check really quickly. Hope much love to you, Cinna. Hope you and your partner are still together. This video was May 16, 2024. Oh yeah, so y'all
I'm not trying to.
I'm looking at your channel right now. This is the first time I've heard of Cinna, so pretty cool. Yeah, good for them. That's cute. And yeah, thank y'all for sending me this. This was wild. I'm gonna end with literally saying that I think I know which way you can spin it. And again, just speaking from being right now, I don't think you can justify any way of showing real bodies in video games. Like, unless it's like your own personal, like maybe you want to honor a relative and you put like a picture in them, but not like their dead body, but like, you know, I think some games have done that, like maybe a past person who passed away and put like a memorial in game, but that's not even showing the dead person. But any other way, I'm pretty sure these sorts of, you know, people here could find justifications for why they put the things in the game. The Serious Sam one was the only one on this list that was like, okay, that's creative. The rest of them odd, and yeah, final verdict, tasteless, to be honest. It's just strange, dude. Like I said, you got to have a certain type of mind, and I don't even know if you want to lump that in with being creative, but then that idea of creativity is just so broad. That's all I got. Much love in Moonlight. Shout out to Cinna. Shout out to the person who recommended the video. You know who you are. I don't have the name right now, but I can get it actually.